Did Donald blink on tariffs with China? Did a judge help us get easier loans by sticking it to ASIC? And is CSL our best company ever? I'm Peter Switzer.
I'm Paul Rickard.
And we're mad about money. Well, I woke up this morning, the Dow Jones was up after a shocker yesterday, and the headline I saw in CNBC, Paul, was, did Donald blink on tariffs?
Well, I think he did, Peter. I mean, and this is the big change because American consumers, of course, are going to have to pay more. He doesn't want consumers to pay too much for
Christmas. That's right.
And, of course, this is what I have been saying this all along. People forget what a tariff is. A tariff is a tax. And when a good comes in, the government slugs a tariff, it increases the cost. Yeah. And if you're fully importing some of these goods from China, it means consumers pay more. Yeah. And look, I think Donald has blinked here. Yeah. I mean, look.
Well, Paul, the thing is this, I've always wondered, and I haven't investigated enough, and I feel really bad about this, but the last $300 billion worth of goods, I always wondered why he left them. Well, because they're consumer goods, they're Nikes, they're iPhones, all that sort of stuff. And so ahead of Christmas, this could be an absolute shocker for Donald's popularity if people are paying a lot more at Christmas time.
Well, it could also mean, I suppose there's a negative as well, Peter, is that the Chinese just seem to be so much smarter at this game than poor old Donald. They're the best negotiator ever. He's losing.
Don't be nasty now.
He's losing this battle.
None of those guys have got a TV show where he says, you're fired.
I think he's losing the battle, so maybe there'll be in absolutely no hurry to settle down. Apparently they're meeting again in a couple of weeks' time in September. That was also confirmed.
Yeah.
So the trade war just goes on, but I guess the market says that they've got to work something out, and who knows?
Well, the one thing worries me is that both Julia Lee and Michael McCarthy on our Switzer program on Monday, they think this negotiation could stretch out close to the election. I don't agree with that. I really has to get a negotiation done by Christmas to get the big Santa Claus rally.
Well, I think he does. The question is whether the Chinese want to play ball or not. I mean, I think, as you said, Peter, I think the Chinese are winning this war so far.
But you're a glass half full now.
He blinked last night and the market liked it.
Okay, this one's a big story, and I ignored it until you pointed out how important it was. So a judge told ASIC, you're wrong in punishing banks for making it easy for people to get loans. Go ahead and explain.
Yeah, remember we had all the stuff about the so-called, came out in the Hayne Commission about responsible lending. This is
liar loans.
And a lot of people jumped on the bandwagon and said that, in particular, Westpac was lending a lot of money and it wasn't really making sure people had the ability to service the loan. In other words, they were lying about their expenditure. You don't actually tell the bank exactly what you spend all the money on, right?
You don't tell them you've got kids at private school, you drink Grange every night. You don't tell them that.
So Hayne jumped on the back of this as well, and that's one of the reasons it's been so hard to get a loan, because the banks have had to change their process.
Responsible lending.
They've asked for a lot more data from potential borrowers, and you've had to substantiate not only your income but what you're spending it on. Okay. Anyhow, one of the cases was, the data back to this was ASIC taking Westpac to court over about 260,000 loans, individual loans. The history of this is they actually reached a settlement out of court back in about 6 months ago.
Okay, so Westpac capitulated?
Westpac capitulated, agreed to pay up a $35 million fine.
Hoo-ha.
Right? And then, of course, the judge at the time, quite spectacularly, refused to agree to the settlement. Said, look, I'm not buying this settlement between ASIC and Westpac. I actually don't think this is right. I want you to come back to court, because you sign off, the settlement has to be approved by the court as part of the claim.
And the judge was looking after shareholders.
The judge at the time was looking after shareholders, or looking after to make sure it was right. Anyhow, it finally came into court. ASIC lost on the basis of not only fact but also interpretation of the law. The judge just says people can, just because you're spending this at the moment doesn't mean you can't change your spending.
So,
you take on a loan.
So you're an irresponsible person until you buy a house, and then you change because why? You bought a house.
Anyhow, bottom line, this is going to make it a lot easier to get a loan, because it's a huge slap in the face to ASIC. It's a huge slap in the face to Hayne and some of the other nonsense that's happened since post the Hayne Royal Commission. Yeah. And look, banks probably have moved anyhow, but there'll be a little bit of easing. So as this judgment plays out, it will become a little bit easier to get a loan. Yeah. Banks won't need to go to quite the same extent that they are at the moment.
And it seems to me these responsible lending things, we're looking after rich people who don't need to be looked after. Sure, if a low-income person is given a silly loan, well, banks should then go to Africa and get punished. That's the important point, is that it was excessive. It was like opening up an almond, a walnut with a sledgehammer, wasn't it?
It was excessive. You can't protect everybody from themselves, all right?
No. And by the way, I've overborrowed in my life when I was young and stupid, and I made a lot of money out of it. The house increased in value. It was the dumbest, smartest decision I ever made, overborrowing.
So big slap on the face to all the housing bears, plus big slap on the face to everyone who jumped on the Hayne Commission and said, weren't banks terrible and all this sort of stuff? Yeah. This is actually a win for the banking industry, and I reckon a win for the consumer because it will become easier in the long term to get money.
One final one, CSL. Is this the best company Australia's ever produced?
Well, probably, Peter. I mean, for those shareholders who paid, I think, $2.20
the Commonwealth Serum
in their
Laboratory
original shares, then had a 1-for-3 share split, so it's about 66 or 67 cents is the original cost price.
Oh, God.
Shares are now $230. I reckon so. Look, they reported today. They reported on expectations, maybe a little bit better. Maybe their forecast for next year is also a little bit better than the market was looking for. It actually continues. Reporting season's okay so far.
Yeah.
Right? We've also had this morning Computer Share come out, which is okay. We've had Tabcorp come out, which is okay. Yesterday, one of the laggards in the market's been Challenger. Look, it wasn't brilliant, but they've actually said they should be able to continue paying their dividend. JB Hi-Fi last Monday. Look, reporting season's actually getting off to a pretty good start. The only negative company I can think of is PAC this morning, but PAC's been a disaster case, but even though they said that they might bet a moderate improvement in EBITDA next year. How many lawyers came up with those words? What a modest improvement.
PAC is like that old game Pac-Man. You used to eat stuff, they're eating up your profits all the time.
But look, not a too bad a result. Also, National Australia Bank out with a quarterly trading update for their third quarter. They've actually shown that profit is actually up 1% on the average of the previous 2 quarters. So that's actually banks a very tiny increase in revenue and flat costs, and NIM a small improvement. So there's actually a bit of life in the National Australia Bank, and I think we're starting to see early days yet for reporting season, but these numbers are better than the market.
And this is coming from a person who finds it really hard to be optimistic. This is a very important turning point in earnings season in Australia. I'm Peter Switzer.
Look, I'm the glass half full guy today, Paul Ricard.
And we're both mad about money.